Okay, today I want to talk about a new story that really happened. It wasn't like when I say the legend, it's not like a legend. It's a true story. And first, the story I'm going to talk about. Sorry to talk about. I don't want to mislead you. Okay, the story I'm going to talk about is something that happened in my neighborhood. Okay, so I call it the story of Rocky. Okay, it happened in my neighborhood, like really, like in my neighborhood. So I think I will have two parts because before getting into I would like to talk to you a little bit about the climate, like the environment, the ambience that happened in the 90s. Okay, early 90s in my country. It's important because you can understand some of the reason why. No. So in Gabon, we had in the 80s, all these years, uh, what we call monopartism, only one party in power. So only one party in power meant what? It meant that the president was the one who was in charge of everything, and it was only his political party who was ruling, and that was it. There was no possibility to voice your opinion and to talk about um, how can I say what to talk about how you felt about the way he was ruling the country. So one thing was sure is like the man was really good to people outside, but when it comes to Gabon, people of Gabon itself, he wouldn't care that much. Okay, we have to be honest on that. So when you know that someone is already ruling for decades, you know that it's not something good happening there. So in the 90s, there was a rise. People wanted to change the system. They wanted to live differently. Okay, and it became so hard because it was like a too much, like too much on the plate that we want something different. We want to change the country. And then came the era who was asked to him by the French politic, like ask because it wasn't really the intention really, but it just like power, like do like you can just to make people feel like they are entering the multi-partism after many uprising and stuff like strife. I mean, I remember the 90s was the very violent and bloody in my country. I really remember that a little bit because after that, I remember not after that, but during this time, we had to fly, kind of leave Gabon a little bit, I mean, for years too. I came back later, but there was, during this time, there were a spread of fear. Okay, the time of the 90s when people want to multi-partism, people were living in fear. And from some reason, out of the blue, we had what we call an outbreak of people. You say outbreak? Sorry, I don't maybe use all the right words in English, but I will try to explain to you how. We had like a situation that happened like a rise of young people, of gangs everywhere in Libreville, in hometown. Libreville is is a capital city. It's a political capital city, okay? So between the moment where people wanted to have this possibility to express freely their political opinion. People will have some meetings there and there. It was like people were living in fear because there was what we call a movement of the Coolmanger. The Coolmanger was like many gangs, gangs in town. We didn't know how they came. They just happened to be there and they were like, scanning the country to the point where you couldn't even say the word Coolmanger easily, like freely. Because if you were saying the word Coolmanger, you could get in trouble with them. I mean, As far as I remember my mom had a friend who came to visit her, and around like 7:30, she was already rushing that I have to go back home. People were rushing home early at night, like around 7, 8 p.m., rushing to go back home and lock door because they were scared. So during this time, people were scared, and if you were trying to like challenge the power, you could get in trouble. I talked to you if I talk in my to you is too much say. In my previous videos, I talk about how my father was actually in activism, political activism, and you understand that trying to challenge the situation wasn't something that you like to do, and it takes a lot of courage. And traveling often at how he was doing, and I perfectly remember that sometimes we come home at the airport, you have secret services who will come to him. And I witnessed myself one day, the secret services came home. I was going to school. I mean, I was ready to go to school. My mom was, how do we say, she was also getting ready to, because usually my mom will drop me, if the driver will drop me at school, and then the driver will drop her at work. And my father, because of his job, would be traveling. My dad wasn't there at home. He was gone, abroad. They came after the blue. I mean, not after the blue, they knew what they were doing because, I mean, my country is very good in like spying system and all this stuff. They are very good. The system was very good. And they came and they asked for my father. And me, I was just a child. I was just sitting there with my backpack waiting to go to school. And the way they operate, I think, not I think, I saw they enter the home, our home. They were searching for some kind of proof against my father so they could send him to jail. Like proof of what? Munition or something like that. My father was pretty clear. I don't use munition at all. I want the truth, the freedom, the democracy, the possibility for people to express freely what they feel. So what they did it was like they went into my parents' bedroom. They pushed everything around. They broke stuff around. I remember that very much. It was so noisy. It was scary the way they were operating that. And they found nothing. They found nothing, and they came out. And they say, "You want to see your father? I mean, you want to see your husband? So when he comes back, let us know that he's back." I mean, even if my mom didn't say, they will find him because they went straight to the airport. When he was at the airport, my father come out because he was an airline pilot. When he came out, they wait for him. Like all the passenger will be leaving. So usually the flight crew come up the last. So what could you do? They found you there. I also remember the way they were operating was horrible, and they sometimes I remember we were eating in a dining room. They came. It was night. It was like time we were eating at family. Usually we always eat in family. My father, my siblings, my mom, and my brother one day. My sister is I think my young sister. We were sitting with my mom and my father. We were only two children, and they came at night and they went to the dining room. They just entered, like, we want to see you. And then my father was like, "Okay, you have some proof that we want with you. Just follow us to the station where we will interrogate you." No, interrogation, like they ask you question about your activities, your political activities, because he was a political activist, obviously, and he was working with people of the diaspora, the how do you say, the people who were in asylum at the time, some activists who were in asylum in France usually, he will work with that. So my father will come in back and forth. So you understand that people who are doing activism, there is two kind of people. You have two type of activists. Those who are living abroad in the diaspora, and those who are in on the ground. And my father was on the ground. That was probably the most difficult part of the job. And he was believing so much into the change that he will definitely make even our lives, his family in trouble. I remember that we were living place to place. Sometimes you have to go to uncle to stay there. But what was very special is, as a children, we never talked about it. I don't know how. I think it was wonderful that we weren't kids who were talking a lot about my father, you know. And I recently, when I went back home in 2019, I'm very glad I went back home because all this memory came back to me. I was very happy because I talked with my nephew. He's older than me, very older than me, but he was a student at the time, and he was working with my father, like in the activism. So I asked him question about how it was because it was clearly stressful. Sometimes you have people, you don't know what happens. Sometimes they will break something like of the car, like a statement that if you keep doing what you're doing, you know, I can say he was kind of, yeah, at some point he went to jail, not like for long, because that's why when people say good stuff about the man, I'm like, okay, you like the former president, good for you, but for people like me, not only about my family only, but about how the country was managed. It just serious mismanagement. But you'll be surprised how the same president would do great things outside. Like he had all the acclamation, he was praised, he was like loved outside. But when you of the people you say no, he is doing great things outside, but back home, nothing. Then you become a problem, you become an issue when you just say no, the man is not doing what he was supposed to do because you only have a population that barely do 2 million, okay, and you have so much of resources. There is no explanation of this, like you say in French, abject poverty. Like abject is like it's so bad that it's not possible. You have few people who have living the very good life because why? Because you are in the circle of him. But what about the other population who are also working, who are part of this country, who deserve better? No. So when you see people say, "Oh, he was the good father," you're like, "Wow, wow, wow, wow." But anyway, that's their prerogative. That's the way they see it. But me, growing up in an environment where politics was always talking around me, yeah, I grew up around that because when your father is talking every day about politics, he's talking about politics like almost every day with people. You are used to listen to them. But it was wonderful because we never talked about it to other people outside. We knew that it was not good. So, songs there was on TV, songs about him, the president, always singing, "Oh, he's the this, is that." I mean, almost like a God, almost like God. Sorry, and that's where my father had concern because it's a system that can brainwash you. It can really, truly brainwash you. And I remember my father was talking about the education system who little by little will not be good in Gabon. And I guarantee it's true because when he was saying that at the time, because he saw ahead of time, he saw the education system in Gabon is not doing better. Because every time it was on strike, why is it that the people couldn't have a proper education, like keep the same and the good education system? No. When you kill education system, you are killing generation. No, we call it intellectual genocide. It's on purpose. You have university who do not have enough um, materials. You have university who don't even have basic technology. What is the point here? I mean, you used to have it before, but then you let everything falling apart. But anyway, it's not the part of the subject here. Just to that you understand what was happening at the time. So you have this movement of the cool muncher. People were scared; they couldn't say the word cool muncher. Like the lady, the friend, my mom say, I have to go home because the cool. My mom was like, what do you mean by the cool? The cool. Oh, okay, okay, the cool. Yeah, the cool. So that's how, because, yeah, as a matter of fact, actually, a man who sung about the situation of Gabon, he sang about the situation of Gabon, about the situation of cool muncher in town. That was scary. That was really scary. After he sung like the cool muncher in town, it's a panic mode in Libreville, blah blah. If a girl think they got killed, I mean, rape, kill, and whatever. It was horrible. It was scary. So that was the situation here.